hate how no one has a mind or a personality of their own. Like, it's so rare to come across somebody who is just different.
18 to 39-year-olds has absolutely plummeted. Meanwhile, neuroticism has spiked. Agreeableness has gone down.
Gen Z has no personality the way fast food menu has variety. The same ingredients, different names, and a limited time offer every week. This video is about why Gen Z feels copy and paste, and cringe keeps people in line, constant simulation makes it hard for people to develop taste, and also personality. When you look at Gen Z, you need to imagine that they grew up with a camera and it was pointed at their life. That changes how you act. Full stop.
The early days of YouTube, for example, it seemed like all the videos, or at least most of the videos that went viral, had some level of character.
If you're older, well, you remember doing embarrassing stuff and it just vanished overnight. It just happened. It was cringe, but you moved on. Gen Z does something awkward once and it gets turned into a clip, someone reposts it and he adds captions, people will laugh, and now you've got an internet label that is slapped on top of you like a parking ticket that you can't pay off. So Gen Z learned to delete themselves before the internet does it for them. That's why you've got people who used to do things and used to make music and they used to draw. Since now if you have a hobby, or especially if it's a weird hobby, at least you had a random niche or something more specific to you. You had a bit of a character. When you stop, that's not because they got bored. It's because they can already hear the comment section going mental and they can already imagine the stitches that are coming up, and since they can't already picture some guy going, "Bro, this is so embarrassing," while doing the exact same reaction face as every other guy. The personality still exists somewhere. It's just treated like contraband. Anything that looks too sincere, too excited, or even too trying gets a bit hidden and swept under the rug. Now, of course, you can start and say, yes, it's the algorithm, and they blame the algorithm like it's some random French evil genius tickling the mustache. It's not genius. It's just a system that pays attention to what holds attention. Same audio that's gonna be recycled for weeks because it works and everybody just uses it.
I see 100 lip sync videos, you know?
Yeah, in the same location, same part of the song.
Yeah.
The algorithms are very different now.
Same joke structure that gets copied because, again, it works. And same relatable story delivery because it works. Sometimes you might feel that it's not relatable since you don't have the IQ of a room temperature. And since platforms would reward familiarity that stops the scroll, Gen Z started to watch up what gets rewarded and they just adjusted everything. You don't even have to be a content creator to do it anymore. And since you learn what kind of personality gets engagement, that's how you become. Yes, that sounds boring and lame, but originality became a gamble, and now that is easier to copy, that has developed into a massive strategy online. And since millions of people all follow the same strategy, the internet, that's why it feels like a showroom. It's boring, everything looks recognizable, and it seems that it came out of the same stupid factory. If you watch online closely, you'll see that people are actually picking identities like they're choosing a skin in game. Someone joins the gym culture and suddenly their entire personality is protein, discipline, pretending to shut up. Someone became even a thrift aesthetic, and how now they talk like they invented poverty maxing while they're buying a jacket for 90 quid. What? Somebody even says, "Oh, become healing," and now every sentence sounds like a therapist that wrote it on TikTok, and you don't need to heal everything, you're 15. At this point in time, is not that is bad. The point is that they're packaged in a way that they come with a whole pre-made vibe. The way you talk, the what you say, what you care about, and what you pretend not to care about. So instead of becoming a person gradually, which takes time and effort, you become a type, a stereotypical dude. And that's why Gen Z becomes accused of having no personality, since it's not that there's nothing there. There is something there. It's that what's there looks like it was chosen from a menu, and it's personality with instructions. Now, when you get to the enforcement system, which is, oh no, cringe in this case, cringe isn't just people being mean or bullies online. At least bullies will harm you, physically. In here, it's how the internet keeps everyone behaving the same. It's a warning signal that goes off when someone steps out of the approved range. Try too hard and you're a loser. If you care too openly and show emotions, you're embarrassing. Enjoy something with real enthusiasm and you're already stepping a bit out of line and doing things too much. The internet loves punishing your efforts because effort is easy to clown. You can humiliate someone who's sincere in 2 seconds and feels superior for free. They learn to play it safe. They detach the tone and control the reaction with everything delivered like it doesn't matter even though they're filming it. They're editing it and then they're posting it just to check if the comments are coming in every 5 minutes. And once you see how broken it gets, when people start calling even concepts cringe.
Go see Somber Sunday night at the Anthem in DC. I don't really go to concerts that often unless I really love an artist. I was so excited to see this performance. By far, genuinely the worst concert I've ever been to in my life. 2 minutes he's on stage, he makes a 6-7 joke. I'm not even kidding you. And all the tweens. About 30 minutes in, he cuts all the music and he's like, we're now gonna have the Somber dating show. Cringe. Like, you know, if you see like something cringe online, you can just like exit out or something, right? I'm sitting there, I was like, wow, I paid money to see this. Like, I paid money to suffer through that.
Because teenagers are there. So if you can imagine to yourself that being embarrassed that teenagers attending music made for teenagers, that's not your taste that you're aiming at. That's your insecurity that's actually dressed up as a standard. And it's people policing other people's enjoyment because they're terrified of being associated with anything uncool. So Gen Z ends up shaping themselves around what avoids punishment rather than what they genuinely like. Safe people start sounding the same. It's boring and a repeatable process. The part that finishes the job is your constant input. When you get boredom and stare at the ceiling, that's the part where you used to figure yourself out. You sit around, you get obsessed with some random thing, or even you went around and try something so badly that you develop your taste privately. That quiet time is where your brain actually forms your preferences. And Gen Z barely gets that anymore. The content nowadays is slop, it's remade, everything is a copy of a copy of a copy. And more than half the time it's garbage. But since silence feels uncomfortable when you're used to constant stimulation, you're never gonna sit in a quiet room long enough to form your preferences. You start absorbing them instead. Your humor becomes whatever you see repeated, and your options become whatever gets applause. Now that your interests become whatever the feed serves you next, you start your identity refreshing constantly. Every month, you're gonna get a new aesthetic, you're gonna add new phrases to your dictionary, maybe you'll develop even some new obsession. And since this is literally me, it looks like self-discovery, but it moves like updates. When you hit the funniest stage, people start acting like sitting still is some insane challenge. So if you stay like this, but I'm sure you've probably seen that online, that people are actually filming themselves raw dogging flights and doing nothing. They don't have movies, music, no phone. They just are staring at the seat in front of them like they're doing time. Serious for a second. That's not a flex. That's your withdrawal symptoms. And since now they're raw dogging on a daily basis, you might call me old-fashioned, but that's called yoga in my days. Just sit around and relax. And since that person realized that their brain can handle 10 minutes without stimulation, instead of behaving like a normal person and trying to fix it quietly, they started to post it online so strangers can clap for them. That's the real addiction, not even the content. You need people's approval to do 10 minutes without your phone. That's the part that connects them back to the personality thing. Since you can't sit alone with your own thoughts, you can't develop taste. As simple as you can't develop your taste, you just go somewhere and borrow it. If you borrow it long enough, you start calling it yourself. So even when you try to disconnect, it still comes out as performance. Like everything else, whole identity formation process happens in public now. And public identity is always safer, flatter, and more generic than anything else. So yeah. Gen Z ends up feeling copy and paste. They grew up in a world where anything is public, you get judgment in an instant, and mockery is actually entertainment. But they learn to delete the risky parts of themselves, adopt what performs, and keep a protective tone and stay readable and safe. That's why so many people feel interchangeable online. They're not born empty. They're actually trained by themselves. And if you don't build a personality deliberately, the feed builds one for you and it hands you a lane and an aesthetic. You even get a vocabulary and some ready-made opinions. You can start calling it me. Then the next month, it will add your next one. Ciao.